Dog fans, welcome to Hunker Down, Impact Media's weekly dive through the hedges into the world of the UGA Bulldogs football squad. Easy for me to say.
Yeah,
With me, as always, my amazing co-host Jake Skinner, fresh out of the gym or shower or one of those places. How
yeah,
are you?
both. Doing great. Oh, sorry about my mic's not down here, so it's probably not picking up. Great,
Oh,
apologies.
there you go. Yeah,
But
it sounded like
yeah,
you were
doing
in a
great.
tunnel.
Yeah, fair enough. But I'm doing good. It's been a long day, longer tomorrow now, but it's good. I'm just ready for another week of football and ready to rant about Mike Bobo some more.
We're going to try something new this week, apparently.
Fair enough.
But all right, we got to get into it. And before we get into that, we got to get into this game. Um, it kind of played out how the way I thought it would. It was nice to see Carson Beck throw for over 400 yards, the
Mhm.
three touchdowns, I believe. It was nice to see the offense throw up a lot of points. What was
It was.
not quite so great was the fact that they gave up 31. Now, I know that's not all on the defense, but at Mississippi State, look, this is SEC. So at any point, Vanderbilt can beat Alabama. At any point, Mississippi State could have beat Georgia, but they didn't in this case.
Yeah.
So, SEC is always a toss up. You can't always say, well, they're way better than them. Things like that happen. And Mississippi State was going to battle because they got nothing to lose. But I thought it was respectable by them. I thought UGA did what they had to do. And putting up 41 points, still getting the win, I don't think it hurt them that much.
No, what you would have liked to have seen was the fact like Georgia played good football. Offense actually looked in rhythm at times. Some had a few moments like Carson's first interception. That can't be helped. I mean, there's not much you can do on that one. Like it's Carson trying to make a play and he just threw it to the right. He threw to the right spot, but it just got tipped. The other pick was unlucky. Like he should have come back to the ball. It's a tight window. It's an NFL kind of a throw. Like he should have maybe placed it better, but that's also lucky to fight better. Rookie is a sophomore now, so he's still learning.
Yeah.
Um, Defense wise, you can't give up that many points to Mississippi State, a bad team. And the problem is I got a new coach to rant about today. Dante, I think his name is Dante Williams. I'm a Georgia fan. I should know the coach, but he's the defensive back coach. He specifically doesn't do safeties. He does the cornerbacks. Well, he's got our cornerbacks playing softer than Sharman. He might be a great recruiter out at the West Coast, which is what Kirby wanted. Kirby puts his hands in that room. I guarantee you're about to see Kirby put his hands more in that room going forward because how often do you see corners bail, like get in the face and then bail and not even like press man coverage and get their hands in there and knock someone around? That's Georgia football. That's what Kirby preaches. Well, the new style is get there and then pull off in zone. And Lassiter is just not making the coverage. I think at this point we got to put Ellis Robinson in there. We've been talking about him. We've heard about him all summer. We've heard about his. He made a great pick out of bounds in this game. Like he flipped his hips, turned around, saw it, grabbed it, and I was like, why are we not playing him? He's better than Humphrey. Like
Yeah.
Humphrey is what he is. Like he's going to transfer. Number 7, Daniel Harris. Like I wanted to keep him, but I honestly think he'll transfer to Miami at the end of the year, like he wanted to last year. Just because Ellis Robinson's going to cost him to transfer, and there's only 2 spots, and I don't think Everett's going to go pro after the showing he's had, unless something flips. So who knows on that? But defense is they're starting to figure some stuff out. It's just we can't keep giving 10 yards to these guys of buffer and then let them catch and run. That hurt us all game long. That allowed some stupid stuff, and we just gotta keep tackling better. We struggled on some of it, but I mean, there were some good plays on it. Chaz had a decent game. He almost had a sack if it not wasn't for the face mask. But him and 94 McLeod, he's got to get under the ball. I saw that for sure. He's not getting underneath this guy. He's staying up top, and you can't get back there. Who was it? I'm looking through the stat sheet now. I don't even remember who it was, but Warren Brinson, that's who it was. Brinson blew that touchdown they had. He blew, I think it was their touchdown. He blew right past the running back, overshot the play, and Kirby was chewing him out on the sidelines, him and Schumann, and he just looked like, well, what do you mean, coach? Like I do he overruns plays all the time. It's just getting worse.
Yeah.
So that's my story on defense. It's better, but not great. They've got some stuff to look forward to because right now Texas can throw the ball all day long against us. But the difference between Texas and Georgia is I do believe that even with our mistakes up front, Georgia is tougher and stronger up front on the offensive line and on the defensive line. I don't think they can handle a physical game, and I think Georgia needs to. They can use Beck as much as they want, but I think this game plan should be it should be keep Quinn Ewers off the field as much as you can. Just don't ever let him see the football field, and we can win this game. Um, I'll give
That's a
Bobo
lot of it.
credit. I'll give Bobo credit for the last half of the second quarter until a little bit early in the third. He was in his bag for the first time in 2 years since he's
Yeah.
been back. Those quick little calls, that little handoff to the run, Cash Jones hands it to Carson. Carson fakes it, throws it for nearly a touchdown, and then every throw before that, somebody was wide open across the middle, across the left, across. It's like, what's going on? Where's this been? The only issue that I still see is our running game is still not doing something right, and the issue is they're still not doing motion. You're
Mm.
still not, you're literally lining up a man to man and going, we're just going to beat you face to face. You can't do that today's game. Like if people know it's coming, they're going to find a way to stop you. Marshawn Lynch couldn't be stopped even though you knew he was going to get the ball that year for the Seahawks. You took it out of his hands, you're going to get beat. But like with Georgia, we don't have that running game yet. We've got
Nope.
all the talent in the world, but when your offensive line is still working on cohesion, you got to do something different. So I mean, as far as this last game goes, there were some great plays. Arian made a stupid drop again, but then he turned around and made up for it immediately, and the catches he made were the ones he should.
Hmm.
Deep balls across the middle, let him go blow past people. What you don't need him doing, because he has no shiftiness, is don't let him catch screens out of the backfield. That should be Dominic Lovett or Anthony Evans. And when Anthony Evans got it, look what he did. Dude is shifty. He should be playing over Arian Smith still. And I'm telling you, love it. We're misusing one of the most talented receivers in our room, if not the most talented. It's still mind-boggling.
Probably.
Like if this was a different coach and on offense, you would see Georgia's passing numbers be similar, but Arian Smith wouldn't have 135. He'd have about 65 yards from one or two catches. The
Hmm.
rest would go to Dominic Lovett, and Dominic Lovett would be putting up 100 yards a game
Yeah.
easily, and there would be no contest. Like Georgia would be feeling better. So I will argue with anyone who thinks that Bobo still needs to stay. I don't think that's changed. He needs to still go. He's still too many. There's too many games of proof where he's not the right calls. He's still not utilizing the talent. We're just getting some mismatches when he decides to use the tricks, and then he hides them away again, and we're like, why are you stopping?
Yeah. I think the defensive back coach is Travaris Robinson, but I'm not for certain on that because there's a lot of vague articles that are being sent to me, and that seems to be the name coming up because since 2021, you've got Jamil Ade, Fran Brown, Will Muschamp, and now Travaris Robinson to be the DB
So
coach.
so for the most part, the way Georgia did it this one because they had an extra coach is Muschamp was your safeties coach and
Hmm.
Adai was your I believe it was Adai. He was your corners coach. Well,
Yeah.
Muschamp was going to leave altogether. Essentially, he's an analyst in Georgia. This is his last year at Georgia,
Yeah.
helping Kirby. He was at Vanderbilt this last game. He's just more or less there to help Kirby out. And I think he's
Hmm.
just tired. I think he's tired of coaching. He wants to retire, move on to a bigger gig.
I watched his kids.
I think he's done. He just wants to enjoy his life. The fire's not there now that he's won two titles. He's like, I'm good. I'm good. And I
Well,
get it.
like I
I
said,
don't blame him.
his
No,
kid
no.
plays for somebody. I don't remember who he plays for.
His kid actually plays for Vanderbilt.
That's who it
He was
is.
at the
Okay.
game. He was at the game. So I mean, we had him doing safeties, and without having that extra leadership on that side of the ball, so that Kirby can just do what he needs to do and play CEO. We just don't have
Yeah.
that. The Travaris Robinson, that's Will Muschamp's buddy. That's his boy. That's who he trusts. That
Yeah.
I haven't seen what he can do recruiting wise yet, and on the field with Starks. Malachi Starks has been injured. He's not 100% right now. So don't blame everything on him. Like I hate it for him, but like 7 tackles, he's missed some stuff. He can fix that. I mean, he's starting to get more confident in himself. Dan Jackson's been playing lights out, and then number four KJ Bolden's been playing lights out too. Like they're still making some mistakes, but I think safeties are okay. I think you just need to go after Torian Gray, the South Carolina defensive backs coach. The guy
Yeah.
can recruit, the guy can coach. Kirby interviewed him last year and was thought about hiring him, but he chose this guy because he
Hmm.
wanted more West Coast kids. And to be fair, it's working. It's just not the on-field product's not there because he can't coach that. His former cornerback, Damani Jackson, was soft at USC, has turned out to be great at Alabama because of coaching. You can recruit all day long, but if you can't coach the on-field product, you need to be a recruiting director or recruiting coach, specifically on assistant or something. Um,
Absolutely.
I'll give him that. Like it's Georgia's not in a bad place. I know I'm rambling and like I'll go back to the defense real quick just because you brought it up, but like the linebackers have very poor eyes right now. Like they can play fast, but they still don't trust themselves yet. I don't know if they're just not ready yet. I don't know if they put in the work, but they don't trust themselves. I don't know. I'm lost here. But if our linebackers play with better eyes and could read the play better like they're supposed to, a lot of the missed tackles, a lot of these touchdowns that we've seen off our running plays are like the running back coming outside wouldn't have happened under a Nakobe Dean or even 2 years ago. 2, 3 years ago, that stuff's not happening. It is now, so we got to do something to fix that.
Well, since you brought the defense up again, and you specifically targeted a particular group of people, I got to bring up all number 32, who had a couple good tackles. He had one of the
I know.
three tackles for loss because they had zero sacks on the day. Chaz Chambliss, thank you and welcome to the party already in progress. That was another solid day for him. He had a
Oh
couple
yeah.
mistakes, fine, but hey, we're going to talk about you, Chaz, whether you do good or bad. I thought you
We know
did
what
good.
he is at this point.
Yes.
He's gonna do average to above average. He's gonna make a play every now and then. He had a like I mentioned earlier, he had a boneheaded play where he pulled the face mask. He doesn't do that, that gets the sack.
Hmm.
So, but he didn't have a horrible game, but he's got to clean it up again. And we know what he
Yeah.
is. Like Chaz, nothing against you. We know, you're a good player. You're starting here because we need you, and you're doing good. Like just keep up the work. Like please do a little bit more, get better. Like you're a senior, lead this team. Like get vocal, call them out, and give them some accountability because this team isn't, this team hasn't been locked in yet, and I
No.
think they need those seniors to to whoop some tail in that room.
Yeah, and wasn't he initially a defensive lineman?
He's a defensive lineman, linebacker. He's a tweener, kind of
Yeah. I
that
mean,
five
but
tech.
but what wasn't it this show? Wasn't it us who
We
said
said he
maybe
should
he's
be a linebacker elsewhere.
yeah. And
He
they
could be,
they,
but
they
it
kind
also
of
depends
pulled
on
him
his
back into
size.
that cleaner and he's done better. You know,
He's
he's
done
still not
better.
lighting the world on fire, but he's not sucking up the joint either.
Now, because he's 6'2", 250, and if you look at that anywhere else, that's a linebacker. The problem is that I don't think he's fast enough to truly play linebacker anywhere else. That's my like he
Yeah,
could at a smaller school. That's nothing against
understandable.
him. But like at that size for the position he's playing, Georgia's got guys that are coming along that are six, like I mean 6'3", like he's technically a linebacker. Georgia does have him listed as one. He plays that fourth fourth end essentially on the line
Yeah.
whenever we need him for certain packages. He's going to put his hands in the dirt. Georgia does it with all of their linebackers. We'll put all of them
Hmm.
put their hands in the dirt in that position. It's just but you've got to get better at getting off blocks. You got to get
Yeah.
better at being able to not get sucked into the run. That position requires you to do so much. And Chaz, I'm sure he spends a lot of time working on it, but his skill set just doesn't line up for what Georgia needs. It's just also, I don't think the players that Georgia's been waiting on to pop are popping in practice the way that they should just yet.
Right. But before we dive back into the offense, Thorson had a good punt. He only had one
Hmm.
chance to do it, and I thought it was good. He pinned him in the 20. That's exactly what you wanted him to do.
Hmm.
Um, Woodring, I don't mind that he missed the field goal because it didn't factor in, but
Didn't fact, you still don't love it, but I mean,
no, but
it
he accounted
wasn't.
for 11 points. 11, so the other 30 was the rest of the team. He had more than a quarter of the team of the points were him. So I
Yeah.
can't fault him for missing a field goal.
No, it's going to happen. You're not always going to hit every field goal. Like
Right.
life, things happen. So he's fairly accurate on the year. I mean, that was his first miss all season. So
Yeah.
I can't complain too much about it.
No.
Um, and
Get it out
it's
now.
a 50 plus yarder. You got it out early in
Yeah.
the year. You can live with yourself.
He'll hit it in practice 16 more times, and then he'll beat Alabama in the SEC championship for it with a 56 yarder or something. I mean, that's
I
probably what's going to happen.
probably so.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little about Carson. He had a even with the picks. I think he this was one of a more Heisman like day stat wise.
hmm
He did take over a lot of spots, and despite the play call, found ways to put up 459 yards and three touchdowns. And he was
And
let's see,
most of those yards were in the first
36 for
half too.
48, so that's 75% passing.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep. Carson's good. Like that he can show you why he's that guy.
Hmm.
Every time you see him, you know what he can do. I
Hmm.
think I just again goes back to coaching. Those picks are not completely on him, especially first one's not on him at all. Second one is a if 50-50. I still lean toward the receiver should have fought harder for the ball, and I've noticed that's a trend with Georgia
Yeah.
lately. But again, that also goes to younger players playing. But Georgia's having to play the better play. They're not playing always the better player, but they are playing the younger guys for experience. So, um, I mean, offense is not killing me. That was the better part of it that I've seen so far. Second half, you're just trying to get out of there, but again, you're also hoping your defense doesn't give up 21 points in the second half and you can get the ball and not turn it over and score. I mean, literally, we left a 48, basically another 7 points on the field for one drive and probably could have scored again. So, I mean, we almost dropped 50 on Mississippi State if it not for an interception, probably letting them have the ball a little bit more.
All right. I'm going to set the number. I'm going to say 10 and a half is the number. That way you can go over under. There's not going to be a tie. 10 and a half different people caught a pass from Carson Beck in this game.
I'm going to say over.
It was 11. I count 11 according to the stat sheet I'm looking here. I
Yeah, I'm
like that.
looking, but I didn't count it. I just kind of look. I was
Yeah.
like, I think it
It's
sounds right.
it's a big list. I mean, practically anybody that was an offensive weapon caught a pass,
hmm
which is good. I like that it's spreading out. I like that he's not just loading up Smith or Dylan Bell or
Oh no.
he's finding the open guy, which is what you want him to do. Because
hmm
somewhere down the line, your weapons are going to be covered. You're going to have to find, Ben Urasek. You're going to have to find London Humphreys coming out of
Don't get me
nowhere,
started
or
on
you're going to lose the
Eurosec.
game. Hmm?
Is not Eurosec. He has some flashes, but he is not a blocker. He whiffs on block. He whiffed on blocks that would have
Okay.
blown up
Okay.
runs. That would have
Yeah.
made runs amazing. But yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, he is definitely like passing around. I still think he's a little bit timid right now. And I think that's partially the offensive line not trusting them
Yeah.
because if you're watching, he's sitting there. He's patting the ball, waiting, 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 and he's not. Somebody was at the game, was watching it, and they said, obviously, we don't have the all 22 view, but they said they were at the game watching it, and they said he saw guys streaking open, but Carson's looking and just he didn't fire. He was timid because he's
Yeah.
like, but he's also waiting on the bigger play to hit sometimes, and you got to trust your receivers. And I just don't think there's a lot of trust on this team right now, but more on that when we start talking about Texas. Georgia's getting better. It's those, as I said the last episode, those Bobo steps.
Yeah.
Or this game could have been a Bobo leap. I don't know what if that is, but like, nonetheless, Bobo was in his bag for most of the game, and it was good to see a coordinator finally start calling plays that made this team look that good. Because if they'd have done that for 4 quarters against Bama and their defense have held, I don't think Georgia's got a loss right now.
Yeah, I think for most teams this would be Bobo steps, but I think this was a Bobo leap for Bulldog kind. That's
Yeah.
I think that's because I honestly I didn't see this explosion happening. Now I saw that they could score this many points. Didn't quite think they'd give up that many, but it was good to see a couple steps in the right direction because I was a little worried that if you let Mississippi State hang around, maybe they find a way to get back in this, but you
hmm
kind of kept them at an arm's length long enough to where they were never
Yeah.
going to get you.
Yeah, Georgia did just enough to make sure that they didn't lose this game, and just enough is not going to do it all the time.
Nope,
Letting
not
up,
this week.
that last not this coming week. Georgia's just got to do better. I think, especially getting up to back-to-back touchdowns in this third quarter.
Mhm.
And there were just some big plays that were getting hit. Like that's what sucks is Georgia. We know Georgia can be better. I think it comes down to coaching and certain players either having their confidence shaken, and they can't get it back, and they're just not sure of themselves. And I also
Yeah,
think it comes down to them playing how they're told, and I think they're just too scared to give up the deep ball. Like they're fast
yeah,
on corners. Pop the man in the mouth, so to speak, within the 5 yards that you're allowed to. Play Kirby smart defensive football, which is your handsy until the 5 yard line, and then you flip your hips and you go, and then you turn around, you watch you look. Like half the guys don't know the ball's in the air till the receiver's catching it. Turn
right.
around and pay attention. Like my dad always told me that you usually could look at the receiver's eyes and watch because they'll widen. Or I don't know if that's still a thing. I don't know if receivers are taught to do better on that to not get like look big and just not get eyes get big. Well, I don't know. I know I'm just rambling on that. But nonetheless, Georgia's got to learn to turn around and catch it. And I think that's why you got to play number one. Ellis Robinson, dude out is killer out there. Like he does it better than the rest of them. And he's a freshman. You got to play him
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah,
Like at worst, well, yeah, he's going to have some rookie moments. But the thing is, I'd rather live with that rookie moment than Julian Humphrey, who's a junior who knows what to do. But I know he's not going to flip his hips and turn around. He's just going to
no,
stare at the guy and just flail. That's what he does. Nothing against him. Yeah, he's doing the Team America secret signal.
yeah,
That's all he's got.
yeah. I know we're down to like 10 minutes now, which is crazy. But
Texas, Tejas.
are you okay with the top five in this order: Texas, Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Georgia?
I'm okay with it. I don't think if I think Georgia could be technically higher, but that's also with Georgia glasses on. I think they're right where they need to be. Ohio State played a great
Yeah.
game, so they shouldn't fall far. But
I can
Ohio
argue
State is
that
not who they.
three of the four teams above them, with Penn State being the outlier, three of the four teams could beat Georgia right now. I don't think Penn State can. They're going to drop soon. But Ohio State, Oregon, and
Penn
Texas
State will drop soon.
are at least slightly, if not bigger, uh, and better teams than Georgia right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everything
Georgia
else below.
Georgia proved this last game. They gave us a glimpse of what this team can really be, and I didn't
Yeah,
think that team was still in there. If Georgia can turn those good moments from this last game into this Texas game, I think it's a springboard. If Georgia shows up against Texas, and I don't care if it's a 3 point win, I don't care if it's a 10 point, I don't care if it's by 30.
just
But
win.
Georgia shows up and by the end of the game, yes, just win, baby. Just win.
Yeah,
If by the end of it you see that team walk off the field, heads held high, and they actually pull this thing off, if Georgia finds that magic, everybody better look out because
yeah,
that means that something's happened and these dogs are ready to hunt again. They got popped in the
exactly.
mouth, they've needed it, they've struggled, but now they're starting to get it. So, like coming into this game, apparently some like I said before, like some of the sources I've got, like the message boards and everything, apparently they have not been locked in all year. Last year it took until Auburn. This year, apparently the parents can't even get a hold of their kids are not even responding. Like I haven't heard from my kids since the last game. When your kids are not talking to the parents in the football world, you got kids that are finally locking in. That means that
Yep.
they're tuning out the outside world. They know this team's coming. This last game made them angry. Like they know they should have done better. Like Starks said
Oh
that
yeah.
we got to do better. He called out his own guys. I think coming into this, Georgia's stronger up front on both sides of the ball. The offensive line's finally starting to gel and get some cohesion. I don't think we have a true left tackle in Ernest Green. I think he's more of a guard, and if so, I think he'll play left tackle at college, but when he goes pro, they'll shift him inside, and he'll probably have a good career there. But Georgia going to recruiting needs to find a left tackle. That's a whole other story. But I
Yeah.
think the line's starting to come together. If Carson can trust them, the receivers are getting there. Arian's proven what he can do. I still say we need to give the ball to more Anthony Evans and more to Lovett. Let those two be your bell cows at wide receiver. Get some motion. Get some stuff like get some eye candy out there to Texas. Your guys can beat them up front, but give them the eye candy so take those linebackers and those safeties out of the play. Make them confused about where you're going to have to give the ball, and for the love of God, throw it across the middle with Carson with any one of your receivers because that middle's been wide open for weeks for us. So just
Yeah.
keep doing that. And defense, play Ellis Robinson, flip your hips. He will end up if he plays most of these. If he gets to play this game, I predict he gets 2 picks if he plays most of the game.
Okay.
I think Georgia's the better team overall. Quinn Ewers on offense is a problem. So Georgia just keep the ball out of his hands. And if he's there, for the love of God, play smart football and don't bail every 5 seconds when you're running behind the receiver. Play the ball. Just be smart. I
Yep.
implore you.
Um, I will drop this nugget because I want to drop it this part of the season because I will probably be the first to say it. I will not be the last, and this will not be the last time I say this. If Georgia continues to be slightly soft in the trenches, there is a team on their schedule that is going to beat them up and potentially steal a win and wreck their season.
I
And
know where you're going with this one.
that is the team that plays at Mark Rick Field right there in right off of that's going to anger so many people.
Oh
Bobby
yeah.
Dodge. I'm saying Tech. Just watch out for Tech if they're going to beat you up front. But we don't have a lot of time to get into that. Just wanted to drop that nugget at this point. Let's talk Texas. As you said, you've got to not only contain but stop Quinn Ewers. And if you think it's a smart idea to knock him out of the game, don't because his backup can play almost as well as he can. It's you got to contain the quarterback position. You've got to
hmm
play them hard. You got to win in the trenches. I would say if you do those things, I think you have a real good shot.
Oh yeah. You get any team in third and long, but especially Texas. You get them in third and long, and Georgia's got the guys to do it. Jalen Walker can blitz a quarterback. That's all he's good at, but
Yeah.
he can blitz him.
Mhm.
Get some exotic plays in there, do something, get pressure. I think if you make Quinn nervous, you've got the best shot you've got to win.
Make him
Make
make
him
decisions before he wants to make them.
exactly. And see their offensive line, I don't know if their offensive line can hold up. And I'm going to be honest, and this
Exactly.
is no shot to the former Georgia Bulldog. Bill Norton plays defensive tackle for Texas, and I mentioned this early in the year. He couldn't even break a rotation at Georgia. The offensive line whipped him in practice year after year after year. He went to
Hmm.
Arizona. He went to Tucson. He went to Arizona last year. Sorry, I was about to make a show. Tucson, Arizona, because I think that's where the University of Arizona plays. But he went there and then goes to Texas, and he's still. Please tell me you got the what we do in the shadows reference there, but he still is ending up getting beat. And so, like, yes, he's a starter. Everyone's like, oh, he's great. He couldn't. He couldn't whip butter when he was at Georgia. He still couldn't whip butter when he was at Arizona. He's your starter on the defensive line for Georgia, and this line knows him. I say look
Yep.
out. I say that's the exploit. We can exploit that and move it. And guess what? If they don't have a backer filling in behind him, I'd say 1-2, push him, knock him out of the way. All of a sudden, look, you got 5, 6 yards rushing up the middle. Georgia's got chances all game long to pull this one out. I don't. This game is going to be one of those that could go. It could be all over the board. It could be a Alabama Georgia game. It could be Georgia
Yeah.
Mississippi State. It could be Georgia versus Tennessee Tech if Georgia decides to show up like that. You
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen. And I'll go ahead and give my score. I honestly think Georgia wins this one 41-38. And
You're
that's
not far off. Nothing I'm about to say.
just because of the soft defense. That's the reason why that they just get beat one too many times. But if Georgia plays tougher than I've seen them and Ellis Robinson starts and doesn't make too many mistakes, Georgia might only give up 24 points. But like I said, it's a microcosm of this entire season. You just don't know which Georgia team is going to show up just yet. You know what they can be, but you don't know it until they start playing, and then you go, there they are.
Exactly. Yeah. If not, I was going to get a quick prediction out of you there. So glad you threw that in on the end. Um, I think this is going to look more like this past weekend's Georgia game. I do think a lot of points are going to be scored because of how good these offenses can be. I'm looking at a final score somewhere around, God, I want to 42 is going to be the winner. 31-34 somewhere in it's going to be 1-2 scores. If it's two score, it's one right at the end to push it ahead to ice the
Yeah,
game. But man, I'm gonna make a lot of people angry, but hook 'em horns. I think
I get it. I get it.
somehow I just don't think Georgia's gonna pull out right there in the end. And I hope they do. Not for the sake of this show, not for your sake, for just the sake of all humanity. I love chaos, and chaos is Texas to go down by the number 5 team, that being UGA, because that scrambles every egg that was up top. But I just think the Horns are just that team right now. And you might can beat them in a 12-team playoff, but I don't think you're going to beat them at home right now.
No, I get it. This game is at home, like before the season started, and I still have people on these boards. Like I've looked and I've been trying to find out other point. They agree that this team could beat us, but they also
Mm-hmm.
think that they also feel like
Mm-hmm.
I said our defensive backs are playing sharp and soft. They honestly feel that up front, Texas is sharp and soft. The difference is they've got
Yep.
quarterbacks, and you got Sarkisian, who is one of the best play callers in the country. He knows what he's doing. So Georgia's been showing weaknesses. Is this the week Georgia literally lets them see weakness, fixes it, plays tough, hard-nosed football, and all of a sudden we're like, whoa, and Georgia drops 40 on them, and Texas scores 20. You just don't know.
7:30 on ABC, number 5 versus number 1. That's going to be at this place behind me here with the beautiful sky. He's Jake Skinner. I'm Jeremy York. This has been Hunker Down. We will see you guys next week. Deuces, gooses, go dogs.
Go Dogs.